Well, sports has been something that it was a passion. And when I was in university with you, of course, we all were a bit lost then. But something that kept me going was sports. And I was like, why can't I convert my passion into a profession? And that's when the whole madness started. We spent, like Gaurav and me, spent a lot of time in India. We studied in India together, and I'm talking like 20, 22, 25 years back. 20 years back, there was no sports industry in India at all. uh, Premier League was the only sport that, and NBA was on television, but there was nothing beyond that. So I had to start my career uh, by giving up, thinking of working in a big company and earning that big salary. But yeah, I think, if you really want something, you should definitely go for it, is what my advice is. And didn't mean to do that, but yeah, I think, yeah, for everyone who wants to look at a career in marketing, and especially digital marketing, I think, it's a wide open industry. Whether sports is your passion or not, if digital is your passion, I think it's a huge industry with tremendous changes happening, as time flies. Here we are in the world of web 2.0, and suddenly out of nowhere, web 3 conversations have kicked up. I know these sound like buzzwords, but there are so many opportunities that will open up for enthusiastic students who are very fond of marketing, or digital marketing, not just the conventional digital marketing, but with a bit of coding. How can you create communities, talking to communities, building communities? I think that is the future, and that is where every student should start looking and thinking. And through my presentation, I will try and touch upon those topics which might ring a bell, or at least get your attention in terms of things that you've possibly heard in these past few months, in terms of developments in the world of digital marketing. So yeah, so my advice to everyone is, read, be inquisitive, talk to people. Don't feel that you're encroaching on anyone's privacy, but do it in a decent manner. What I mean is, talk to people on LinkedIn. Talk to people on Twitter. There's a lot of people out there who are willing to share knowledge. I'm certainly one of them, and help anyone in any way in terms of either getting into sports marketing or marketing overall. So yeah, so that would be my advice to all the students over here today. With that said, I will jump into my presentation which I've made for you guys. I've tried to keep it really basic, to give you guys an understanding of how sports marketing evolved to start with.
You asked me to say this before your presentation, and I think Z missed it and I missed it. Some of his presentation
Oh
has
yes.
linking material, so any listeners, viewers, please be careful if you feel blinking stuff and light in and out. I don't even know how to explain it.
No, it's okay.
Uh,
I'll do it, Gaurav. I think it my presentation has a lot of GIFs in it, GIF animations in it, and some of them are quite flashy. So if anyone is sensitive to light or something, just be careful, and uh, or just listen to me, and get your screen off if anyone has any issues. So yeah, just thought I'll let you guys know. With that said, I'll just jump quickly into my presentation. But before that, I haven't prepared a few slides on me, but my name is Nilesh Deshmukh, and I am uh, the account director for India at Engage Digital Partners. Engage Digital Partners is predominantly a, a, a digital come production house, and we work with a lot of sports entities and sports governing bodies and rights holders across the world. Uh, some of our clients, which you possibly might know of, are Chelsea Football Club, Arsenal Football Club, Real Madrid, Major League Baseball, the International Cricket Council, Sail GP, Formula One, Formula E, the A League, the soccer league in Australia, ISL, which is Football League in India, Gran Turismo, uh, professional triathlete organization, so on and so forth. So what we do for them is we have a few, like a two or three pronged approach for most of our clients, where we not just help them connect with their fans or build wider audiences. We help them develop the brands, and we help them with fan engagement, which overall leads to to these brands finding more followers, getting a wider reach and awareness, and eventually commercialize through the fans. So that is what we do. My role is of an account director for the India business. So as an agency, we are based out of three countries. That's UK, of course. We have an office in London. India, we have an office in Bangalore there, and we're also based in Australia. And I think the office is in Melbourne, if I'm correct. Besides that, we also have satellite offices in the UAE, because we work with horse racing. We work with the sector of horse racing, and we work uh, with the horse racing stable that the Sheikh of Dubai owns. So we keep doing work with them on and off. And we also are located in Japan, because that's the latest market that we've entered, thanks to the Olympics and Major League Baseball being a massive sport in Japan. So yeah, so that is us, our main offices and satellite offices. And as an account director for India, my role is to work with international sports entities and rights holders, and help them with their communication, fan engagement, and commercialization strategies in India as a market. Because uh, India is huge in terms of not just population, but also a growing digital population, and that has led to a huge impact in terms of how sports are consumed in India. And all the football clubs that I know of, and Major League Baseball, I think they have really long term plans to invest time and resources in India to to actually penetrate to the market, not just from a commercial perspective, but also from a participation perspective, where they want to find the first Indian Major League Baseball player, and not a minor league baseball player. So if you have if there is ambition, you can find ways in new markets, and that's exactly what we do for our clients. Having said that, besides that, I also uh, write and design infographics on sports business. I also do podcasts on sports business, the objective being uh, highlighting what's happening in the world of Indian sports, right? Indian sports business. I think the Western world needs to know what's happening in India, because it's not just the Indian Premier League, the cricket league that we have, which is popular, but the football and a few other sports are becoming really big in India. And there's a lot of sports business happening in India, from sponsorships to ad slots to a lot of other things that is happening, talent management. And my objective through my initiative, which is called Sports Nexus, is to educate or inform the Western world about all the changes happening in the Indian sports industry as well. So towards the end of the slide, I'll give you the coordinates. You guys can follow me, or talk to me once you have my details. But with all that said, let's jump in. I just assume that because there are going to be a lot of students here today, I should do like a generic presentation in terms of what digital sports marketing really is. So how I want to break this up is I will cover. I'll start with what sports marketing is and how it evolved. Okay, how it started and how it evolved. Then I'll create a connect with the evolution and move into the digital side of sports marketing. And once that connect is established, I'll then jump into social media and sports, and how it works, and eventually how does everything come together and how do you make it work. And then very quickly, I'll just take you through future trends in sports marketing. And this is particularly interesting for students like yourselves, because this is where the future of sports marketing is moving, and this is where you guys can look at newer opportunities in terms of of making your first break in the world of sports marketing. It's become a lot easier now thanks to the internet, and it's not like how it was when I was trying to break into sports marketing in a country that had no sports marketing opportunities. So now everything is digital, everything is connected, and it's just right that I don't speak too much about conventional sport marketing, but also look at future trends. So that's exactly what I'll do. And after that, I'll take any questions if you have. So moving on, what is sports marketing and how did it all begin? So, sports marketing basically is a subdivision of marketing, okay, and it is defined as a marketing strategy that is used to promote anything around sports, be it an event, a product, a service, or athletes or teams. So, that is what sports marketing is defined as. But what's very important for everyone to understand is how did it all start? So, of course, USA is the leader in sports marketing, and here's a proof why. If you look at the screen, the first ever a deal, a sponsorship deal that was ever done, okay, was potentially Gene Sarazen, a golf player who had an endorsement deal with Wilson Equipment Manufacturers, and that was a $6,000 deal at that time in 23. That's huge money if you look at it from from a conversion perspective over the years, and that was the first known case of a sponsorship deal. Then it moved on to US, the US market, starting their own leagues and calling it the World Series. And all these years I wanted to understand why does a US sport like baseball, like Major League Baseball, call its final the World Series. And I then understood why it's called the World Series, because they're so ahead of everyone, and uh, and this is a proof. I'm sure if anyone is a baseball enthusiast or a sports enthusiast, you've possibly heard of Babe Ruth. I mean, there's no way that a sports enthusiast hasn't heard of Babe Ruth. So Babe Ruth was the first superstar of baseball. He was known for hitting home runs left, right, and center. He had a very illustrious career, work playing for the Yankees and the Red Sox, both the rivals, and a few other clubs. Uh, but Babe Ruth was the first person who was, seen on television through an endorsement. And at that time, I mean, those times were different. So that time there were trading cards that were available in cigarette packets. Okay. So of course at that time there was no tobacco ban, or ban on advertisements and all of that. So this is how this whole sponsorship related activities in sports started. And once Babe Ruth was on TV, he became an even bigger personality. And there's a very interesting podcast done by his family about him and his history, and it's very insightful to know how he really changed the world when it comes to sports endorsements. Moving on into 1936 Olympics, Adidas, which is Ren's client, interestingly, uh, they sent Jesse Owens a pair of running shoes for the Berlin Olympics, and that was a soft launch, or a soft announcement of how the future would seem, where you have players like footballers, cricketers, athletes being sponsored by brands like Nike, Adidas, Puma, and so on and so forth. But it all started in 1936 with this bright spark of sending Jesse Owens, who was one of the best runners at that time. Uh, then things started moving, which I'll take you through, like a timeline of sports management and how things started moving in sports. But moving to 1970s, Joe Green, you can't leave out another big American sport in NFL, National Football League. Joe Green does he appears for an ad for Coca-Cola in the 1970s, and that is when that whole the cola wars in terms of associating with sports had kicked off. So with that said, these were the key highlights in terms of what you need to know in terms of how this whole industry evolved. Moving to a very quick timeline. Okay. Of course, the first ever sporting event was the Olympics that happened in 776 BC in Athens. Uh, After which, again, a lot of US connection here with the Harvard versus Yale rowing, and the baseball cards and tobacco products, like I told you. Uh, After which, in the early 1900s, the US set this whole standard for amateur and professional status. Who's an amateur and who's a professional. That segregation was done, which led to a huge blowout in terms of how the sports industry shaped in terms of leagues and leading to all these other sports marketing activities. In the 1920s, the first radio broadcast of sports was done. In the 1930s, sports ads were run on radio, and if you see, you'll notice how this evolution started when one medium was invented, how things started developing on them. 1940s was when televisions became big, and Major League Baseball and a few other leagues were then broadcasted on the television, which made Major League Baseball a very big and popular a sports league in the US. Uh, oh, sorry about this mistake here. It's 1960 and not 19460. So in the 1960s, emergence of sponsorships and endorsements. So that is how old the industry is. And very quickly, I wanted to put a slide on this person, but I didn't. But in the 1960s, I'm sure you all have heard of IMG, International Marketing Group. IMG's founder, Mark McCormack, okay, was the one who changed the world of sports marketing. He shook hands, which was also known as the Golden Handshake, between him and Arnold Palmer, who was a golfer then. And he was his first client, and he started International Marketing Group, with that Golden Handshake, which has gone on to become such a big institution in the world when it comes to sports marketing. Of course, Mark McCormack is no more, but and IMG's gone through its own turbulences, ups and downs, but they're back stable now with Ari Emanuel and his group now owning it, and they're back doing great things in terms of broadcasting and managing talent and creating IPs. And if you want to read more about him, I would highly recommend a book called What They Don't Teach You at Harvard Business School. It's called What They Don't Teach You at Harvard Business School, and the second edition of that is called What They Still Don't Teach You at Harvard Business School. So these two books are written by Mark McCormack. I mean, the first one is written by Mark McCormack. The second one is more of anecdotes of people who worked with him. But it's old school. But if you want to get your basics right, if you want to understand how to deal with people in not just sports but anywhere in the world, those two books highly recommended. I'll leave the names of the books in the chat as well later. Moving on, 1980s, the Olympic Games in London, in Los Angeles, that was broadcasted. That was probably one of the first big broadcasts. Around this time, I don't know if there are too many Indians on this call, but 1980s, 86, I think, 83, I think, is when India won the Cricket World Cup, and that was the first broadcasted, cricket event in India. Uh, and Since then there's no looking back. Like, hockey used to be the biggest sport in India, and India used to win a lot of medals in the Olympics, but when the cricket World Cup was won by India and seen by the country, that's how cricket became a big sport. So the connection here, what I'm trying to establish is, when mediums started developing and sports started coming onto those mediums, those sports started becoming big, especially in the world of television. 80 to 90, a lot of activities happening, a lot of things happened in sports globally. But the biggest breakthrough was in the 1990s when Sky TV and Premier League, signed a broadcasting deal, which catapulted the Premier League into another status altogether. Like, if you talk about football now, okay, everyone likes the Premier League, not only just because it's very competitive, but also from a commercial perspective, it is a huge success. You know, why is football, or why is Manchester United, for example, the biggest and the most followed club in the whole world? That's purely because in the 90s, when Manchester United were doing really well, that is when Premier League did deals with Sky TV and international broadcasters, and that's how people started watching the Premier League, which was probably the first football league ever shown globally. Uh, with that said, that is why Manchester United is such a big club, because that is what people started watching. Moving on, we come to the exciting times of 2000s. Okay, that is when sponsorships and brand activations started booming. moving to social media starting in 2000, early 2000, but 2004, 2006 in when it really picked up. Uh, then moving to 2014, where there was a smartphone revolution, where uh, mobile phones, started becoming big, and they, from a technology perspective, they started changing to, basic phones to having video on phones, and then in the 20s, the whole OTT revolution started, where sports had now started reaching directly to more people than ever before. With that said, and keeping time in mind, let's move on. So that was the whole timeline of how sports marketing shaped up. But I would like to stick to the 20s and late 2020s. That is where the whole dynamics of the industry has changed with mobile and internet boom. A lot of focus has has now shifted from newspapers to actually connecting and getting closer to your favorite football teams or cricket teams or uh, you know uh, baseball teams or basketball teams, and this whole shift of internet has managed to bring fans much closer to to their favorite teams and players, and that is how perspectives have changed, connecting, bringing more people closer to each other. So this is the key conversation point for this presentation. Moving on, just to establish the importance of the world of digital to sports. Okay, internet consumption has grown, and it has really affected the culture of sports, bringing people closer together. um, One thing that has changed over a period of years is, the four C's. People are now creating content, they're sharing content, they're consuming content, and communities are being born, because what's happening is, everyone is getting closer and closer, and sports is like, of a sports following is like tribes. So everyone comes together, and they want to discuss things, they want to talk about things, they want to even troll people, which is not good, and you shouldn't do that. But it happens in the heat of interest and your love and passion for a certain team or players. But with that said, let's just deep dive into some numbers, like digital numbers from the world. So right now, currently in 2021, all right, we have 5.1 billion active internet users, 1.86 billion websites that are online, 4.28 billion people using mobile internet, 200 million active websites, 7 million blogs published every day, 4.5 billion active social media users worldwide, and and close to 500 hours of videos uploaded on YouTube every minute. Now, these are some mind-boggling numbers, which could be an answer to questions that you have about why is digital so big for sports. Now, these numbers here are not sports related, but a generic number of what's happening in the world of digital, and this is just to give you an idea in terms of you know uh, if this is the world we're living in, what is stopping us from doing anything in sports, whether it is for a company or if it's a personal initiative that you want to start. Moving on, how does social media fit in sports and how does it fit in digital? So what does social media fundamentally do? It and from a sports perspective, it has become very vital platform, or range of platforms where fan response and voice for sports marketers worldwide is set. So people like to talk on these social media networks. Okay, and for sports even more. uh, and that is how social media has really changed the world of sports. Okay, now it is so easy, like there's so much content that is put out. Like, one of our client is the Indian Super League. Okay, which is the football league of India, which has just started. We post something between 40 to 70 pieces of content with every football match that happens. Now, imagine the variety of conversations you can have on multiple touch points, right? That is how these social networks have changed the world of sports, and how fans are connecting, are becoming even more connected. Which brings me to, fans want to communicate, they want to socialize, they want to learn, they want to trade, they want to create and share content, and that is exactly what social media is allowing you to do. Uh, which is then leading this whole whole tribe or community which is being built. It is giving opportunities to fans to network and encourage participation and improve engagement, which is something that every sports entity or rights holder is looking for, going beyond this main service of running teams or businesses. So why I feel sports and social media is a match made in heaven. Consider this, okay? Social media is a very cost effective medium. What do you need to run an account on any social media? You just need to create an account, right? Of course, things have changed now where algorithms need to be followed, and social networks are looking at monetizing, so they want you to spend some money. uh, all that said, it is still a very cost effective medium. You don't need to create something which is expensive. It's already there. You have a ready audience. You just need to do the right things to reach out to your audience. So that is one reason why I feel it's a match made in heaven. The second reason I feel is one to many communication that happens on social media. Social media also allows collaborations and co-creation, which allows you to work with other influencers or sports teams or athletes, and create content with them. It integrates all sort of communication and content distribution. So you can then share content using the options that are available on social media. Uh, the next thing it allows you to do is customization, and this is very interesting because the work that we do for India, for example, for Chelsea Football Club, a lot of content is geo targeted, right? So what happens is, if you look at it, is a football club has following all over the world, right? But if you start posting Hindi content, or if you start posting a Dutch content, or a Hungarian content on a global social media page, it might isolate a lot of the native fans, right? But at the same time, because these clubs have grown so big, okay, and social media is a medium for them to take the message out to the rest of the world. The best thing about social media is it allows you to geo target. Well, most of them do. Facebook and Instagram, which is running a beta test for geo targeting, but it works really fine because there's a lot of targeted content going to a targeted audience, which helps in increasing engagement. uh, it also allows a lot of innovations. So probably the most popular case or case study here is Major League Baseball. Okay, doing a deal with Facebook to broadcast free matches, doing a deal with YouTube to broadcast free matches, especially in geo-targeted manner. La Liga had done a deal with Facebook to broadcast their matches for India on Facebook. Uh, I mean, they don't do that anymore. But these innovations have started, and especially for countries like India and other booming nations where social media is just about getting big. I think these are the innovations that can best describe why social media and sports are a match made in heaven. It's not just in India and other developing social media nations, but if you look at what's happening in the UK, BT Sports, which is the broadcaster of who have rights for the Champions League. Okay, every final match they show it on YouTube for free, and it's real time, so there's no lag or whatever. So these things are happening in the West as well. And one of the latest innovations that is now happening is voice chats. Twitter Spaces and Clubhouse has just opened up brand new platforms for fans to connect with teams. And in these past few weeks, there have been some weird Twitter Spaces where I've heard Jamie Carragher, who's a ex Liverpool football club player, coming and singing songs. I mean, is there any other way you can get closer to your favorite sports stars? I don't think so, unless you sit with them across a table. Um, and the last thing I would like to bring up is watch alongs. So Facebook and Airtime, I'm sure not many of you have heard of Airtime. It's a US based app which is somewhat like Clubhouse, but it also allows you to do video viewing together. So these things are even bringing fans closer, especially during COVID. Fans started coming a lot closer and doing watch-alongs and on Facebook and Airtime and YouTube and all these other social media channels where it has become very popular, and it's catching up. So these were a few reasons why I feel that social media and sports are really a match made in heaven. uh, I won't, there are some stats for you over here, but I won't get into them. But one thing I'd definitely like to get into is uh, on the top four social networks, that is Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Okay. So for Facebook, there are four out of top 20 Facebook pages in the world are sports brands, out of which Cristiano Ronaldo, Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Lionel Messi are the biggest on Facebook. On YouTube, again, sorry, on Instagram, there are five, the same culprits I spoke about, uh, except there is Dwayne Johnson, who's at number two, and there's Neymar in the mix. Okay, in on YouTube, because YouTube is such a huge medium of content that is being uploaded, that I just told you earlier. There's only one sports brand that is big, that is WWE, and they're in the top, I think, three or four. I think they're the fourth biggest uh, account on YouTube with, in terms of followers, subscribers, and time watched. And on Twitter, there's only one Cristiano Ronaldo who's in the top 20. And this I'm talking about global, right? So these are brands, these are influencers, celebrities, and all of that. So it's not bad at all for sports. So yeah, so this is what social media and sports was. And just one quick note: if it's not on social media, it didn't happen. Uh, so now that I've spoken about the whole universe and how it, how things happen over there, how does everything come together? So one quick slide on that, right? uh, what you need to think about is, what are your pillars of communication. So from a sports team or sports entity perspective, there are fans, there are players, there are, there are clubs, there are the club management, there are legends, and there are influencers. Okay. If you take this as an example of communication points, and you sorry, pillar of communication, and put them in communication points around match days, festivals, nostalgia around key dates, key moments that are quite new, and archival content. If you take these two together and then work on languages around English, national, or regional, and then put them in a format which is either graphics or motion graphics or videos, that is short form or long form, user generated content, Q&As, articles, push notifications, and communities. Okay, if you funnel it down to this format, okay, that is the success of working, different digital platforms and social media, and moving them and creating conversations and reaching out to your fans to create engagement. So that was the the biggest part of this conversation, this presentation. But now the most exciting part: what is the future of sports marketing? Okay, everyone's now talking about Web 3 or Web 3.0 as you know it. Where does sports fit into that? Let's have a look, right? Web 3, one of the major things about Web 3, or talking points about Web 3, is connected communities. Okay, then there is metaverse that Gaurav spoke about. Hopefully in the next 4 years, we should be doing this conference in the metaverse, and move out of this gamification. Then there is gaming, and then of course there's NFTs, which I'm sure are all buzzwords that everybody's been hearing for a while. But there is truth to this. There are millions of opportunities in this sector, and I'd just like to highlight a few. Talking about connected communities, Reddit is something that I would highly recommend. A lot of Reddit is also known as the front page of the global internet news. Okay, you get to hear a lot of breaking news on Reddit first, and the same applies with sports. The communities are very interesting. There is no bias, there's no trolling, there's it's very controlled, very gated. And now they are moving in that space of gamification, or they've already done that with karma coins. And there are also talks about Reddit hosting certain NFTs. So these connected communities is what is the future of fan engagement. Facebook has also done attempts, or created attempts, and they're highly they're pushing a lot of fans and clubs to get the fans talking in Facebook communities, which is already a feature. uh, Twitter Spaces is another feature of how communities are being formed. So and there are new social networks that are going to be born, like Akasha and a few others, who are going to rule the Web 3.0, and change the face of how communities conduct themselves and how community ownership is going to be in the near future, and it's right around the corner, to be honest. The second big change that is happening in the world is metaverses being created. Gaurav spoke about, or gave you a small example of how Dojoko could be on the metaverse and how this conference could be on the metaverse. Uh, but there are metaverses like Sandbox and Roblox. And this example over here that you're seeing is Nike's announcement of creating or joining the metaverse, and they've done a deal with Roblox to create an experience for the fans, which is built around the real headquarters of Nike. And this is just a snippet of that. This is where the future is. Very recently, I read a report by the owner or the CEO of this company called Face, that is doing uh, NFTs with the International Cricket Council. They are planning to build a metaverse stadium and have cricket going into the metaverse. And I'm sure a lot of sports will start following. Adidas is also moving into NFTs and metaverse, and apparently they just bought some land on a metaverse. I think Decentraland, or maybe Sandbox. I'm not too sure about that, but these are not just buzzwords or hype anymore. This is the reality, and this is where you need to find opportunities, right? Moving on, just the last two, gaming. I think what EA Sports has done with FIFA is tremendous. Okay, we work with esports players in India. Okay, and we have a show with an esports player called Mortal. Okay, what he does is he speaks to other influencers and plays a game of FIFA while talking to them. Okay, sounds very regular, but the kind of engagement and views that they churn out for us, or rather for the client, for a client, is insane. And what it does is it also enables you to talk to newer audiences who possibly wouldn't watch a football match on television. Okay, would rather watch highlights, but would love to play FIFA, right? So these are the newer audiences that you need to reach out to using gated communities, gaming, and collective communities and metaverses, and finally NFTs. Right. This example over here is of Overtime, which is a sports publisher, digital publisher, and they've created an NFT, which the sale of this NFT, the funds that come in from that sale, a portion of that will go towards motivating or encouraging younger audiences, younger people to play football, and reward them through the money that comes through these NFT sales. So there are all these very interesting projects happening. Okay, there's another one in Canada called, there's a team called Peninsula FC. Okay, what they've done is they're based in Vancouver, and their playing field generally gets flooded because of rains and bad conditions of weather. So what they've done is they wanted to change the whole infrastructure. So they didn't have the money. They went the traditional way of finding funds through corporates, which didn't work really well. So they tied up with an agency who suggested to them that, what, let's do NFTs. So what they've done is they've created, I think, 9,000 pieces of small pieces of the football field that they have, right? And they're selling each piece. And with the money that comes in from these NFT sales, okay, all that money is going to go into the redevelopment of the football field, so the young community, girls and boys and everyone, can enjoy the game without sitting at home during bad conditions. I think, isn't that wonderful? I think that is what Web3 is moving towards. It's all about inclusivity. It's all about people coming together and working on initiatives that are owned by them and beneficial to humankind. And there is no sort of greed, so to say. Um, with that said, I think this is the flashy one I was warning you all about. But uh, with that said, I think with this. With me finishing my presentation, I don't know if all of you all managed to gather most of the things I said, but one or two takeaways that I would definitely learn from, or I hope you guys have learned, is that the world is changing, technologies are changing, the digital space with sports is changing, and you guys need to do a lot of research, read, talk to people, and find your interests and build your knowledge levels, and move in the right direction to create new job roles or create new businesses within the sports sector. And that's how young entrepreneurs will be born. With that said, I would like to end my deck. Thank you very much for listening to me patiently, and I'm sorry if I've taken more than 10 minutes of the time of your time.